I wanted to make a crane video because there's so many and it's so hard to make them, and now I finally have it down. This one is one I tried on with a puffy body. I mean, this isn't ideal and the beak isn't exactly perfect. This is one that I didn't try on as much, and you can see like a messy beak, a messy tail, but overall similar. And you can use any square, any size to do this. Okay, this square, I don't know, it's that size compared to my hand, and I guess I need to adjust my view. Okay, first thing you do is decide which side you want to be the top. I'm gonna obviously use the colored side, and I'll just do it as if I were doing it. Okay, so once you line these corners up, if you go like this, and then smooth this way and this way, you get cleaner folds from what I've seen. And then I crease it extra, open it, and the first step's pretty easy. You're just making like 4 boxes on horizontal folds. All right, so I lined it up as best as I could. I smoothed down to that middle part, and then I keep holding the top. So this is what I learned after doing about 250. Okay, so now I made these folds with the side up that I want. Now this fold I'm going to do on the diagonal, so hold it like a diamond and bring the bottom up to meet the top. Line it up, and when I line it up, you can't just do the corner, you actually have to look at this little part and that little part and like kind of do a pull down and a wiggle and find that midpoint, and then slide it out and slide it out. So if I was being really picky, I would not be happy about the fact that this didn't meet exactly at the corner, but I'm not going to be that picky right now. Okay, now I'm going to show you the first part that was a stumbling block for me. So I'm going to show you how to look at it, and I'm going to make it look ugly by writing on it. So we'll say back, front, okay, yeah, I think back and front ought to do it. So this is what I think of. When I get to this part, I take my finger and I poke up right at this point right here. So it kind of makes like this ideal little teepee tent. And then I'll do it quickly, watch, ready? Front and back, squish. Really what happens is this part.
Jesse had to make a pit stop.
You doing a snack, bud?
I'm going to tuck these 2 parts in.
Popping candy.
Cotton candy?
And then you have this front, like, it could be a square, but I wrote it so it's on the diamond direction. And back. Okay, so that is the first part of the tutorial. The next part is make it look like a kite. So I want the mid of this to be really obvious. So I'm just gonna take the top flap and make a crease so I can tell where the middle is. And if you did a good job, this middle line should line up with the point. Mine isn't exactly lined up. Okay, so now you're gonna make sure this whole edge goes to the middle. So it's gonna look like a kite. So you're gonna kind of like line it up. And this also took me a while to get. This part, you want it to be a nice point, but it's hard to fold it that way. So when you do this, look at how I'm not just using one hand to guide it, I'm using 2. Like I'm kind of like laying my finger here, pulling this, and then I'm using this almost as much as I am my dominant hand to like move it where I want it. So once it looks like it's in a straight line, I start by pressing down this section and I let go down there. And then where the crease is already started, it kind of just keeps going really naturally if you just start from that part and keep going. But had I just tried to press it down, it would have been very messy. So making it look like a kite the rest of the way, I'm gonna have like this whole part the same thing. So basically you repeat this step 4 times, and I'm gonna fold it right to the midline. And I say 4 because we're gonna flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. I'm just gonna turn it so it's easier for me. So I do this as I make this fold, and it prepares the paper to lie the correct way. And this is the step that starts a point down here that you can make really good or really bad. I don't think I explained that well. Okay, so we just did the front of this diamond. Now we're gonna do the same thing on the back. So I'm gonna start by finding the middle. So I folded this. So it was like fold like this. And now I'm going to do the same thing. This to the middle, this to the middle. So if you're pausing the video, feel free to like speed ahead past my talking. I drank a lot of coffee, so I'm pretty shaky. And you can hear my son's autism therapy. Oh, look how bad that is. So when I say look how bad that is, what I mean is I'm always checking that where things start and end. And like ideally this isn't a perfect line and this isn't a perfect point, and neither of those are happening. But that's okay because this is a tutorial. Okay, so now we have the same thing on both sides. Now I'm going to make a kite shape on the inside here. So I just opened those 2 folds that we made. So like when I say kite, that's what I'm thinking of. This is with the folds in on the kite. This is with the folds out. This whole part, I'll put little happy faces on them. And I'm gonna flip it over. I'll show you the kite again, which I'm sure you see by now, but whatever. So there's my kite, right? And on the other side, I did happy faces, but I'm going to do sad faces. I had to think for a second, because you'll see. So happy faces, and we'll do sad faces on this side. And we're gonna make the happy faces meet the sad faces so they become happy. So I'll show you what I mean. And I'm only gonna draw the sad faces on that one so you can understand. So, it doesn't really matter what side we're doing this on, the front or the back. We're gonna do the back because that's where I drew the sad faces. And what you're gonna do is just lift up the top layer and slide your hand in. And like I just said, we're gonna make the happy faces meet the sad faces. So you already made the folds you need to make this happen. I'm gonna fold it on this line and the one that matches it. So it's a bit of a like finesse. It's extra hard because I drew the line and I can't see where my actual fold is. But do you see how my happy faces are meeting my sad now? And it maintains the shape of the kite. Does that make sense? You might have to watch it a few times. This part really confused me at first. I didn't quite understand how to tuck the flaps in, and I'm not a real origami master, so I don't know what the real words are, but I'll show you anyways. Okay, so I'm going to reverse this fold that I already have here. So I'll push it in at this part, fold along the crease that's already there, and when you reverse that fold, so like flap out, flap in, flap out, flap in. We're doing flap in all around the kite on the back and the front. And when you do it correctly, the happy faces and the sad faces will line up. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing, but hopefully a little quicker without the explanation. And at this point, the back and the front doesn't really matter because I usually decide which end is back and front at the end based on how good the folding goes and which end looks better. Okay, so now we have a kite, front and back. So you can see like in your head maybe that this was the original like diamond that we had front and back, but now we've tucked in the flaps and it looks like this. And I guess I'll hold it slowly because this is what I would want. So it looks like this here. It looks like this, this, this. This is super important. This is the top. When I'm holding it to do the rest of it, it's the top. This is what I'm going to keep pointing like at my belly. Okay, the next part is I guess I shouldn't have said that. We're going to fold on this line on both sides. So now you can see your smiley faces and you would see it on the other side. So you're turning it from a kite into like a, I don't know, diamond or a classic parallelogram. Okay, so you understand what you are looking at here. These are going to be the wings of your crane. This will be the body. This and this. So wings, wings, body, body, head and tail, or head and tail. It doesn't really matter which way you do it. Okay, but you'll notice that the head and tail are not this thick. So we have to fold this in half, and then we can move on to putting them in the correct position. So this is the same concept of making the kite, except now we're making a really small kite. And your goal is get, I guess I'll do little hearts just to be different. This edge to be exactly in line with this edge. This kind of confused me as well, but I do the same thing, like guiding my finger down here. Bring it along that midpoint, and to make a clean point, I recommend doing it that way. So 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we're like 2 folds away from having a head and a tail and just about being done. And it's cool that we get to see where the front and the back become. So like one wing front, other wing back. This part will be the body. Now this, I guess we'll label them. We can call this one head and this one tail. You have to do another fold reversal here. So where you see this dotted line on the inside, I'm going to reverse the fold, as in it's going down now like a valley, and I'm going to push it up so it looks like a mountain. And to do that, I don't know the official way, but the way I do it is I kind of, first thing I do is start to fold it like that. And then I just start to carefully go along this line and crease it the opposite direction. Now, you can decide where you want the head. And the tutorials I watched never really showed me the official spot. But what I've found from making so many are kind of have like 2 guidelines here. You have this one is the edge of one fold, and this is the edge of another fold. I like to use this one. So I kind of move this around until it's in line with that. And then I hold it like this and see this and this. You want it to be kind of pinched and straight and not like wrinkly. Oops. Okay. Now it's pretty much in that spot and it's folded. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing. So far everything is bilateral symmetry. So I'm going to invert this fold right here. Line it up with this one. Okay, I don't really remember which one I called head and which one I called tail, but I'm kind of glad I don't because there's a clear head and a clear tail to me. This is messy because of this part. It is not looking very pretty, as you can see. It's not a clean point, whereas this end is pretty clean. Not perfect, pretty clean. And the cleaner end, I would rather be the beak because I don't like a messy looking beak like this. This beak is like lumpy and misshapen and ugly. So if I turned this into a beak, I'd get lumpy, misshapen, and ugly, but this one will look nicer. So it's a decision I make at the end, which is the head and the tail. All right, so to make the head, you reverse the fold. So pointy, dent it with your nail a little bit and push it in. When you like the angle of the head, you take like this point and this point and you kind of bring them together with a pinch. I think it's up to you what angle you want it at and whatnot. Okay, now my favorite part is opening it up and feeling accomplished. What a long tutorial. And I ripped a few when I first tried this. So I hold it this way with the head and the tail. And my fingers are gonna be like this. And I'm gonna go wiggle, wiggle, pull, wiggle, wiggle, pull. So. The first thing I did actually is I pushed these folds up. So like they were creased down like a valley and I kind of just gently pushed them up. And I go that way. Okay, so ba-da-bum, we have a crane. And you can really see what parts become what by drawing on it. So don't be afraid to mess up a bunch and try drawing on it first, and I'll show you what I'm making for my daughter's room. It's not close to done yet, but this is a lattice that I just hot glued together and painted pink, and they're all sitting on top, but I plan on hanging them. I guess I'll back up, sitting under it. I plan on having them all hang down different heights and do it in like an ombre sort of view. Thank you. I hope it helped you.